Greetings, Father Joe here, your friendly neighborhood pastor coming to you from St. Patrick's Church in lovely Highland Mills, New York. Today is the memorial of St. Polycarp, Bishop and Martyr. I'm focusing on two things in our readings today: the last sentence in our gospel and the last sentence in our first reading. They might seem to be in contradiction. The disciples are upset because there is someone who is driving out demons in Jesus' name, but they say he's not of our group. And Jesus says, hey, for whoever is not against us is for us. And I've heard people say before, well, this means everybody's okay as long as they're not, against Jesus or against the church. However, this past week and a half, we've been reading from the letter of James, which is very challenging. And St. James ends today's reading with by saying, for one who knows what the right thing to do, for one who knows what is the right thing to do and does not do it, it is a sin. Wow, this seems very, very different from whoever is not against us is for us. And so here's a couple of things to think about. One, Jesus is speaking about someone who is casting out demons. But the other thing is the disciples have brought a complaint about someone else. St. James is not talking about demon or casting out demons. He's writing to us, to the congregation or to his church, and he's giving us admonitions so that we will be holier, so that we will be more perfect. And so he says, if you know what the right thing to do is, and you don't do it, that's a sin. So in the church, we say that there are some sins of commission, things we do. There are other sins of omission, things that we don't do. And just, again, to put this into context, in Matthew chapter 5, the last verse of that chapter, he says, and so you must be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. When Jesus or St. James addresses that to us, well, then we have to look at ourselves and say, wow, I've got a long way to go. I've got more growth. By the way, in St. Luke's version of the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says that we must be compassionate as our Heavenly Father is compassionate. Again, we're called to be like God. We're called to perfection. We need to do that. We need to grow in this. But we can't say, hey, they're not perfect, which, by the way, was always my go-to when I was at home and my mom or dad got upset with me. I'd say, well, hey, look at look at my other sisters and brothers, Clearly, I'm not so bad. It's not a very mature argument. But God does call us to be mature Christian adults. And so not going after someone who's doing something good but is not part of our company, well, that's an act of compassion. It's still an invitation to bring this person into the company, but we don't tell them to stop doing good. So now if you apply that to what St. James said, if you know what is good and you're not doing it, well, that's a sin. Well, someone else is doing good and maybe they're not doing it for the best reason or something like that. Don't stop them from doing good. So God calls us to be perfected. God bless you.